Hey guys, Michael here. I'm the author of the Quest Map and Navigation System. I'm just going to do a quick demonstration, well hopefully it'll be quick, on how to get this up and running with your own custom project. So, for starters, once you purchase it, it'll be in the list here, like normal. Click Create Project, give it a name, so let's call this Map Tutorial, and then just create. That shouldn't take too long as you've got it downloaded and we've got this up and running. So then you need to open it, again that shouldn't take too long, and you'll be plunged into this. Now this is the demo level, so I can show that for you. So it's got some instructions there on how to use it. It's got a working map system that's designed to look like Google Maps, and it's got a few locations, so like the spawning hut here, playground which hasn't been discovered, there's another location there. But we're not interested in that. What we're interested in is making a completely new map for a level. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit pause on the recording. I'm going to jump in and put the Infinity Blade Grasslands pack into that project. So all you do that is you find the project, click on it and click add project. Once that's done, I will hit record again and we'll be up and we'll use their level to make a map. Okay, so the Infinity Blades Grassland map has been added. I've opened up the project. Now you can check, you can go into the content folder here and check as long as there's a folder there it's been added. So what we want to do is we're going to come in here and open the Elven Ruins map. Now I've already opened this ahead of time because the first time you open it, it does take a little while. But you can see this is a lovely map that's part of Infinity Blade, and I believe if we play it, yep, so it's already set up to use the right player. Now the only problem is obviously this map is not the right map, and we add waypoints and they don't work. So directly in front of us should be a little platform. If I go and click here, it gets added all the way down there, which is not what we want obviously. So the first things first, what we need to do is replace the map. So in order to do that, you're going to jump back into the quest map folder and find the materials folder and then look for UI. So you want this material instance world map. Easiest way to do this, obviously there's a couple of ways, this being Unreal and game design. What you want to do is get this material instance open and put a texture in for you to use. So I'm just going to create a new folder just so to keep it all nice and easy. So call that tutorial content, ideally without the spelling error. And I've already got my markers and my world map set up here. So Darren Sutherland, another Unreal Engine developer, was kind enough to make this image for me based on obviously I took a high-res screen capture of this map from above. So I'll show you how to do that because it might come in useful. So you want to get this top view open, zoom all the way out to where you want it, and then set it to lit. I believe I used, oh no, I might have used unlit. Yeah, I did, yep. So I used unlit. I took a screen capture of this area and gave that to him, like using the Unreal Engine high resolution screenshot, which gives you a lot higher quality one. And then he was able to use Photoshop, because he's a lot better with Photoshop than I am, to make this lovely map here for us, which you can see is clearly based on that, but looks a lot more hand-drawn. So, what you want to do is get that and any other textures you want in. You can add them later obviously as well, but we're just going to add them all at once. And there we go, so they've been added. So all you need to do then, to start off with obviously, save so they're already in there, we don't have to re-import them, is drag and drop that on there. Now it looks a little bit shit, that's just Unreal's lovely what do you call it? Lovely rendering of large images. So in here, I normally try and make the habit of changing these over. Just saves on some compression and stuff. Now I did work out a way in the engine to make this a little bit better in the demo, but it's not super important here. So if we play this now, as you can see, we've got this up and running in here. The next thing, obviously, the scaling here isn't going to be right. So we're here at the moment, and obviously we should actually be closer to here. I believe right there is where we want to be. and that's not working as well. So there's a couple of things we need to do. Firstly, what we need to do is work out the area our map covers. So in this, our map goes from here to about there. Now I actually know the size of this in Unreal Engine units, but I'm going to show you how to measure it anyway, because it's something you'll need to do for your own world. So if we look, let's say we're going, let's see if we can line up the features to work it out. I'm just going to pull this guy up into, I can't remember how to do this, immersive mode, that's what we want. So we're going to try and line these two up. So we're looking at around, where are we looking? We're looking at pretty much this box here. In fact, I believe that's exactly the box I used. Yeah, it is. So this is the box we want to use. What you can do, and I'll go back to wireframe so you can see this a bit better, is you can use the middle mouse button, and then that allows you to measure. Now I've just clicked a little bit wrong there. The size of this is actually 12,800. So I can get that to line up properly. Yeah, so I'm just missing a little bit at the beginning there, but you do have to play around a little bit and get the hang of it. You could also measure this actual trigger. Oops. But it's a pretty easy process. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. But yeah, so it's 12,800 for this case. So then what we want to do is jump back into the blueprints for the project. We want to jump into the quest map controller. Now in here you'll see a couple of components, and the one we're interested in at the moment is the world map manager. And over here in the world map manager we have world dimensions here. So we want to set that to 12800. 12800 because we've got a square area. Now the system only works with square or rectangular systems properly. So what I would suggest, if you have a round or misshapen world, is you just draw a square around that and you make that work in your image. Obviously it can be transparent and you can do that, so that's fine. So that will now get our map up and running to the right size. So if we do this, oh, nope, it won't, because we've forgotten one important thing. So the other thing we need to do is get the center of the world. Now if I can find this guy here, you can see this is a very easy one to do because this widget is actually in the middle of this world that we want. So all we need to do is get this location, and I believe that won't work. You can just copy and paste it, but what you want to do is jump back into this world map manager again, scroll down and find world center. So it's set to 0, 0. We actually want it set to -3000 and 2430. We don't need to worry about the Z coordinates because maps are 2D, so we only need a two-dimensional space. Once that's done, we should be in the right spot, and there we are. So if we were to place a waypoint right in front of us, it'll be there, but it'll be all the way down there. So that's how you get the world map up and running. Obviously you can mess around with the images, you can play with lots of different things and make it look however you want. So the default one looks like Google Maps, and then this one, as you saw, looks much more like a traditional RPG game. And yeah, you can play around with that stuff. The world map also has a whole lot of settings, again back in the world map manager, so you can change how big the zoom is. So at the moment it's set to 0.5 of a step. If we go into here, so that's half a step. So every time you zoom in it gets 50% bigger, but you can certainly set that to whatever you want. So you could set it to something crazy like 10, and then bam, it goes all the way in. Now there is a cap on the zoom, you can only zoom a certain amount of times, so keeping it the decimals is a good one, but up to 1 works as well. Your zoom dead zone is how many pixels the player can move the mouse before the center of the zoom adjusts to the mouse location, as it says. So what that means, if we jump in here and we zoom, it's zooming to where the mouse is. Now if I zoom over here, it zooms there. If I move a little bit, it's going to keep that spot, but if I move all the way over here, that actually becomes our new center. So I'll show again. So there, and then I'll zoom over here, and there we go, that becomes our center. So that's how many pixels your player can move their mouse. So 50 is a good zone because that gives them a little bit of wiggle room with the mouse. They don't need to keep it dead on, but it's just something to play around with. Your pan step is how far it pans left, right, up and down. So the higher value, the faster it's going to pan. Pan dead zone is the same, so your player clicks to drag, like clicks to pan, they click and drag the mouse. The dead zone is how far they have to drag the mouse before it starts to pan. The drag delay is if you wanted to delay this. So by default we've got, that's how it works. As soon as I hit that 25 pixels it goes. Now the delay probably isn't going to be a super useful option for most people, but some games do use similar systems to this with delays on them. The idea is that you can drag. Oh shit. That delay is way too long to demonstrate. So a delay of something like 0.25 would be a good way. This is just a good way to make it drag slower. So by default it's set up to drag very smooth. This way it lets you drag little bits by little bits, which it can be useful in a game that requires a lot more precision on the map use. And that's all the settings for the world map. Now in order to get the waypoints working, what you want to do is jump into your world and you want to grab every object that is a ground object. So in a lot of maps you're just going to use a massive landscape or something. This isn't the best example map for this stuff, but let's just quickly grab all of these. And we're just going to do this bridge here. Oops, don't need that guy. So you don't need to grab every tiny little thing, you just want your main ground pieces. So we're just going to do that. And what you want to do is in here look for the option to add a tag, component tags. And you just want to type in ground. And that will automatically make the map identify that as the ground, and that's where waypoints will get placed. So we've got one here. If I look up here and I place one on the steps, you can see it's actually been placed on the steps rather than going through. Whereas if we go up to here where we haven't done, looking up the mountain, it goes all the way down to around about 1 million units down or something like that. It only measures distance. It's not quite that far actually. Yeah, so the distance is measured on all three axes, so you have a measurement for height as well. And yeah, so that's how you get your waypoints to work. It is a little bit of an annoying thing to have to do to label all your grounds, but this allows you the ability to have your waypoints set at a different height in each area. So that's world map up and running. If we wanted to make a local map, which we're not going to do, but I will quickly demonstrate how to do it. Say we want a local map for, well, I will do it but I don't have the image. Say we want a local map for this area here. So we want it so that when we're in that area, instead of saying no map available, which you can disable as well, we want a little map of a circle with an angel in it. So what we would do is jump into actors, and we have these 3 actors here. One is the world location, that's the one we're after. We bring this guy in and we need to position it correctly, which can be a little bit tedious on these higher, like highly detailed maps. But let's just do it roughly. There, that's the circle we're going in. Now because this is a circular location, we can actually switch it to a circular trigger by turning off that, and that'll change it to a circle. So that allows us to get a bit better of an idea of where it is. And now I've got to find the bloody trigger. There we go. Okay, it's also a little bit too small, as you can see here. So we want that to be bigger, so make that about 1000, that's a bit too big, 800. Yeah, that looks good enough. We're only doing a rough job here. And we want to call this the Angel Platform. Now, we can have it so that the location is discovered by default. Our player spawns actually in that location, and there's a little bit of logic that when you start up the game automatically discovers any location the player's in, so we're going to leave that. We can change the undiscovered tint and the discovered tint. So let's give it a nice red. And we'll keep it that little bit transparent. Give it a local map, so let's just, for argument's sake, let's give it the crosshair. So at least we can see something's coming up. And we're going to allow fast travel to and against it. And the display one, so basically you can have locations visible on your world map before the player discovers them, but not actually discovered, and that's what this option does display. And travel point. So the other thing that's left is, if you, by default, if you set this up, when you fast travel, your player will fast travel to a point the engine works out roughly. So we've got our lovely map there. We've gone out. So if we come up here and we look down at that, and we can see, we can fast travel to it, and it's put us right here, because that's what the engine has decided is the safest place to spawn. Nope, it's for some reason not actually taking us there. That's an interesting one. It might be, but because this is in the middle of that. But what we can do is place a travel point in here, and this also has, this is much like a spawn point, so it has a direction we're facing. We're going to just place it so it's facing away from the angel, so we can make sure it's different to the spawn point. I'm going to place it there, and then what we do is we give this a name. So it's called travel point, we'll just call it angel travel point. Then we jump back into the world location. That's all you have to do for the travel points. Jump back into the world location, and here we have all the travel points we've added. So we've only added one. We click on that, and then, as long as we've done everything correctly, we should be able to head up here. Now it's over there. I'm going to face away so we can see the directions carried over. Click on that, and there we are. We've just spawned looking out over the beautiful ocean. So that's how you control all your world locations. Your waypoint you don't need to worry about, that's an automatic actor that's used by their waypoint system. Now beyond this, all you really need to do is your options here. So local map manager doesn't have any options you want to set. You just want to leave all of them, they're all automatically set by the blueprint. And then your compass manager, the only thing in here that you would ever want to touch is if for some reason, let's say your map is completely reversed around. So by default, this direction is south there. But let's say if for whatever reason you want south to actually be up, then you can jump into the compass manager and set a direction offset. And obviously that would be 180 degrees. So you do that, and it's going to say that this direction is still south. Okay, so what was going on there, guys, is I was using degrees. It actually needs to be between 0 and 1 to represent the circle. So if you want it to be 180 degrees, that would be 0.5. If you want it to be 90 degrees, you go 0.25. So if we look in here, north should now be west, I believe. East. North is east, and so on. So our north is over that direction, so it's counterclockwise. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you set up the system. There are other things you can do, so obviously you can jump into the materials here and go into UI. Now, I wouldn't suggest touching the base materials unless you know what you're doing and you want to make changes. But if you want to make changes visually, you can change the compass to look different. You can use all these different things, so you can change the compass color to be a beautiful purple. You can change the marker color to be a lovely complementary fluorescent green. You can, what else have we got here? So you don't want to touch those. You don't want to touch the different values. You only want to, oh yeah, so you can change all the, like the way it actually looks and everything like that. So there's a couple of settings in here to mess around with. Let's just do that. And you can see the colors have translated into a beautiful real world, very lifelike, very RPG-esque compass. And then we can also change things like the local map. So if you wanted to get rid of this guy, there is actually a image in here, I believe, that I made called blank. Nope, I must have taken it out. So you can just make a blank transparent image and that would get rid of that. You could also set the opacity to full, but then you'd need to set it to change. You can change the location marker, so if we didn't want to use this, so I actually did grab those other location markers. I'm just going to open a second copy of the content browser for that. It's off screen. Which I've put into the tutorial content folder. So let's make the location marker, we'll change to this. And we can just drag and drop that in there. And that should automatically work. We'll do a couple of others before we test it. The player marker, round ones are a little bit too modern. So let's change that over to a more simple one. And let's also change our waypoint marker to this guy. And let's change the waypoint to a blue. You can also change your borders of the maps. So let's make something to, just making these horrible colors so they stand out. And same with the tooltip, you can change all of them, which I haven't actually showed you guys. But so that's all of those. We will just save that. Come on, computer. Okay, so then we jump into here, and you can see the lovely border. See the different waypoint. This actually has a custom location marker set, so let's change that guy. And click on this. Nope. So let's change you to you. And there we go, so that's got that up and running. That's the tooltip you can see, so you can change all those settings as well. And there's that. And there's a border around that guy. So that's how you set that all up. I think that's about it, guys. I will quickly run through a demo of this once I've done all the settings. Okay guys, so we're back with a setup that I've spent a lot more time getting all the colors and that sort of thing going, right? So let's take a look at that. So we've got a couple of locations. We've got a lookout platform. As you can see, all the tooltip colors have been changed, the border color changed. These are all displayed locations that haven't been discovered, and they've got colors that match the map. And we've got a player marker there with a different color. I haven't done any local locations, but we've got that all up and going. We've still got the lovely, I haven't set up the ground, lovely Google icon, but it's set to a nice off cream color to match. So you can see we go into here, it says we've discovered the lookout platform, and now the lookout platform is available to us. We can fast travel back and forth, and we can go around and have a look at all the different areas. Get stuck on the ground. So we've got a destroyed tower up here, I believe. Yep, destroyed tower, which is now available on the map. We have the castle entrance, beaten up castle, and then finally this one over here, which is a broken bridge. Yep, and there's all the locations. So that's how you set up the map to go in a custom level. If you have any questions, feedback, queries, anything like that, please be sure to let me know and we can hash it out in the comments below or via email. I've got a Discord channel that I'll also link to, and there is also a support ticketing system on my website, dapperraptor.xyz. There will be links to all of that below, and thank you very much for purchasing the system and for any interest you have in it.